When I started this project, it wasn't to document cyclists. It was to understand a deeper story of what was going on in all women cycling. A story of empowerment, inclusivity, and shared joy. It's easy to get lost in the physical challenges of cycling, but what really inspires me about this story is these athletes are creating a space for each other, where strength isn't measured in endurance or wattage, but in vulnerability and trust. For me, this film was a chance to amplify their story. One that reminds us empowerment isn't loud or flashy. It's steady, it's shared, and it's deeply human. Hey, I'm Rue. I'm an adventure filmmaker and photographer based in Boulder, Colorado, and today I'm gonna walk you through a behind the scenes of what it was like to create this all-women cycling film for this brand called Jelenu. This project was an attempt to go beyond the ride itself. What drew me in wasn't just the athletes or the ride they were going to embark upon, but why these women came together and how they build each other up and rewrite what it means to be strong. It's a project that challenges me to look beyond the obvious, beyond documenting a group ride of a bunch of women together, to ask the deeper questions and understand what's really driving these moments and what is it about community that's so special. And those are the questions we're gonna try to answer in this video and in the documentary I made that you can check out in the link in the description. Let's dive in. The vision for this film was simple but powerful. When I was approached by Jelenu, they wanted to share the stories of a group of ambassadors that are on their athlete team about a group ride that they were going on called the Venus de Miles, which took place in Lyons, Colorado, which is just outside Boulder, where I'm currently recording this and I currently live. This was a community ride celebrating women in cycling. And beyond the race statistics or the numbers, what really mattered was that a bunch of women were coming together, showcasing the value of community and really building each other up. So in the lead up to the event, I was chatting with Jelenu about what it was that we were wanting to deliver, and ultimately it came down to creating a short branded documentary highlighting the emotions of the athletes, as well as a photo series to go along with the documentary.
Cycling is freedom. Cycling is self-acceptance.
In going through the pre-production process, we had assembled a group of photos that were a good guide for the emotions and the tone that we were trying to convey. When it comes to creating a video and photo at the same time, it's important to have a clear, structured approach. Otherwise, you end up missing something and you don't get all the materials that you want out of the shoot. So in such a limited time that we had with the athletes, we had to be really dialed to get everything that we needed. We arrived at their Airbnb just outside Boulder, to them making breakfast, hanging out, and I just started kind of interacting with them as a human first. I always talk about in these videos that it's important to not go in with cameras rolling, but go in friendly, smiling face and kind of get to know them off the camera before starting to take their photos and starting to capture these videos. Because we had a limited time, I unfortunately couldn't do that for too long because we needed to capture some footage of them having breakfast and starting to get interviews going. We had 4 hours on the first day and 4 hours on the second day to make this entire project happen. So after filming a little bit of breakfast and staging a little scene out on the porch, it was time to dive into the interviews. We had a lot of different ambassadors and women to highlight in the film, so the interviews were short. We only interviewed each athlete for about 10 minutes maximum. Because of this, I had to be really intentional about the types of questions I was asking and getting responses that were short, succinct, and could be used in the 3 to 5 minute documentary. So I'd say like your name, where you're from, and then maybe like how long you've been cycling. While I was conducting an interview, the rest of the athletes were getting their kits on and getting ready to go out for the cycling shoot for the second half of the day. I had a lot of good conversations and some good laughs with the athletes. We piled into some cars and went to one of my favorite places to shoot in North Boulder. Because the interviews had run long and that time at the house didn't go exactly according to plan, we had a very limited window of about 1 hour to capture all of the B-roll and all of the portraits out in the field in a staged environment. In addition to getting B-roll for the video, this was also an amazing opportunity to get some product shots and lifestyle shots of Jelenu's clothing. I had a vision of all of these athletes standing in front of this blue background, showcasing their bikes and their kits, and being able to see the blue background with the mountains in the back, and it just never really came together.
I think it's just gonna keep unraveling.
I forgot clamps for the tops of the paper roll, and we didn't have any weights to hold down the tripod stands, so everything kind of fell over, and I kind of just had to abandon the idea after one pretty subpar photo. But that's filmmaking and that's photography. Sometimes you go in with this creative idea, but realistically, it doesn't happen, and that's okay. We still captured a bunch of amazing images. I was really happy with it, they were really happy with it, and we were able to continue moving forward into the other different types of shots that we had planned despite this background not making its way into the project. After we got some lifestyle stuff in the field, I hopped in the car and we started filming from the car window. This is always, in my opinion, the best way to film cyclists, especially elite cyclists like these women that we were filming, who were quite fast and quite strong. I probably could not keep up with them on a regular bike and be filming at the same time and getting good footage. By filming out of the car window, I was able to focus on getting specific shots at specific focal lengths. And although a lot of this B-roll didn't end up making the film, a lot of the photos were key deliverables that we were able to execute on. So there's kind of value in all of it. And that brings me to day 2. Day 2 was an early one. We had to be at the start of the ride at 7 a.m., which meant we had to get up kind of early and drive out there. But once we got there, there were all these amazing costumes and women dressed up ready for this fun group ride. Some were in normal cycling kits, some were in tutus, some men were in tutus. It was a really fun atmosphere and really captured the community of women cyclists on camera. When it comes to visual storytelling, I think it's really important to show, not tell, a lot of the emotions that are happening in the film, and by having all of these amazing community shots of everybody together getting ready for the ride.
The vibe is happening, music playing, and we're just ready for them to say go.
I love it. I love it. We could show that community was really prominent in this event, and we didn't necessarily need to talk about it over and over and over again because the viewer kind of understood, hey, this community is special and this matters. This was also a really fun reminder for me that cycling isn't necessarily about what you go and ride, it's about who you ride with. And the support and the laughter and the joy was so evident with all of the ambassadors, but also with all of the other women at the event. Filming this ride was a little bit of a challenge because there were other cyclists to deal with, unlike the day before. There wasn't a lot of behind the scenes of this section because Audrey, who was doing behind the scenes the first day, was driving the vehicle for the second day, so I could get shots out the window of the female riders. Hopefully you'll be able to understand the vibe through my own footage that I captured that didn't make it into the final film. Filming cycling is always kind of a challenge in these group scenarios because we're driving sometimes on the wrong side of the road. We have to make sure that we're getting the shots of the cyclists, but also ensuring that the cyclist feels safe and that we're not just pushing a car right up next to them and pushing them off of the road. So balancing safety and getting the shots is always a really challenging part of filming cycling, especially in these group scenarios. So when possible, we would drive up ahead, we'd park, we'd get a shot, we'd fly the drone, I'd hop back in the car, we'd get a couple shots from the car. So it was kind of this balance of jumping around the athletes and getting a wide variety of footage that then we could edit into at the end of the day. The real magic came in these candid moments.
I know, I'm like, maybe I'll just stop as much.
Cyclists sharing laughs, encouraging one another, and just enjoying the experience. It was these small interactions that really captured the spirit of this event and communicated the message of inclusivity and empowerment in women's cycling. When it came to editing this project, things came together pretty quickly because a lot of the lines in their interviews were so powerful that it was easy to sort of pluck out moments from all of their interviews, stitch them together, and provide a little narrative of what was happening.
Cycling should be whatever it is for you, and for me, it's freedom, it's exploring, and I hope that every woman can find that love of a bike for themselves.
I'm just a girl with a passion and 2 wheels, and I don't know where it's gonna go.
In fact, I edited most of this documentary on a plane ride, which normally doesn't happen, but it allowed me some pretty good productive time on a plane. I think when you have a really amazing story and everything came together just as we needed to and just as we had planned, it was easy to put this story, these emotions, and this feeling together in this short documentary. And when I reflect on this whole piece and this whole experience, I just feel very honored that I was the one chosen to tell this story. There's something really powerful about watching women come together to support one another, not just as athletes, but as a community. Between the months of August and September, when I filmed this documentary, I had made 9 branded documentaries, this being one of them. Of those 9 branded documentaries I was making, 7 of them had female protagonists or were about women in the outdoors. And I'm so excited that brands and individuals and networks are interested in sharing these sorts of stories. Because at the end of the day, people coming together, regardless of where you're from or what your background is so special to witness. And a loving and supportive and kind community can go so much farther when we bond together as athletes or as passionate outdoor people. And making these films about community and about these women have really taught me that joy and community is what life is all about. And I think it's easy to get caught up in all the metrics of chasing the highest peak or surfing the biggest wave. But I think stories like this, where we're showing women coming together as a supportive community and empowering women to get on bikes and have and find joy for themselves, I think is really important. I think these sorts of stories matter, and I'm really incredibly honored to do something like this. And I'm excited that the trajectory of my career is heading in this direction, sharing stories of diversity, equity, and inclusion in the outdoor space. So hopefully you enjoyed this little behind the scenes look at this all-women cycling film. If you want to see more of my films, feel free to check out the link in the description or peruse this YouTube channel. There's lots for you here to see. I love you. Thank you so much for watching. Have the best day ever.